Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm checking the price of Bitcoin and trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Um, by the way, Happy New Year. It is basically New Year's, and a whole new year is upon us. And hopefully, it's a good year for us crypto holders, and we continue to make strides in our portfolio. And basically, that's what it's all about, right? Crypto, a lot of us are in it for the money. I would actually say most of us. But a small percentage of us are in it for the actual utility value in the future of crypto, right? Many people call themselves crypto enthusiasts, but they're really just money enthusiasts, right? I consider myself an actual crypto enthusiast. I like the charts, I like the technology, and last but not least, I like the money. So basically, I'm doing these little videos. I guess you wouldn't say it little when they're averaging about an hour, but hopefully this one will be a lot quicker. Today, I looked at the price of Bitcoin, and you know, Bitcoin, as you know, drives the whole market. And there's a couple ideas I have that, is worth sharing. So let's just jump right into it. So, right off the bat, I'm looking at this as a potential. Let's talk about the bullish case first, right? So, right off the bat, bullishly, to me, this looks like a very simple ascending triangle. Nothing surprising there. I'm sure many of you already knew that. In which case, right, we would be expecting price to, coil up in here and break out, and then potentially back test the resistance to make it the new support, and hopefully we can get a continuation. And that continuation would at least get to the measured move of this ascending triangle, which comes around, well, would you look at that? It comes around almost 50K, which is very, very nice. 49,500. So that would be an excellent target. And I believe that would potentially be the top, right? Because a lot of the main target that I had was about 47. So I would suggest 47 to 51 would probably be the absolute top. Now, when I say that, I mean for retracement levels. As many of you know, I believe Bitcoin is in a retracement, and a retracement basically looks like this, where you have, obviously, you have the bull run, then you have the bear market, then you have a retracement. Then from here, this is the big decision, right? The retracement levels are pretty much the most difficult thing to gauge, right? Because either we can get through retracement levels and continue breaking out to new all-time high, right? Or we can come down into a C leg, right? So that would be an A, B, a C, and then continue into new all-time high. That would suck, right? Because then that would take at least probably another year. So that would suggest 2024 being pretty much a down year. And when you look at it, that is a definite possibility. The reason why, and I'm going to get back to the short time frame in a minute, but just to clarify, 2023, I know it didn't feel like it, but 2023 was nothing but up, basically, right? So we went up. Here's the January of 2023, right there. So from January 2023, we're going up until we hit April. Then we went sideways until we hit October. right? So the beginning of the year up, middle of the year sideways, end of the year up. So basically the whole year from this point here all the way up is just been trending higher. So if this year is trending higher, what is next year going to be? Is next year going to be continuing higher? Well, maybe, right? Or does it make more sense if we come back down? It does, but I don't think so either. I don't think this, and I don't think this. I'm thinking something like this, right? Now, again, like I said, retracement levels are the hardest to predict. They're the hardest to figure out because you just don't know what is going to happen in here, right? So here are the ideas of what I believe could happen. And basically, like I've said many times, right? And I'll show you over here. So right here you have a bull market, bear market, retracement, reaccumulation, blast off. So if you applied that same thing, we have a bull market, bear market, retracement, and then we go down for reaccumulation. Sideways, sideways, and then continue breaking higher. Here's an excellent example of XRP. You have a bull market, a bear market, a retracement, and then you go down for reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. And the current price of XRP is actually the same thing. Bull market, bear market, retracement, reaccumulation, sideways. Same thing. Bull market, bear market, retracement, reaccumulation, sideways. Right? So going back to Bitcoin. Now, not saying that that's what has to happen. Like I've said, there's many different ideas, possibilities, and we'll talk about that. So basically, you have a bull market, bear market, retracement. Let's come down for reaccumulation, and I believe that will happen. And the reason why is because of this right here. This range right here was the first accumulation range. And then we broke out, and then we entered a second accumulation range. And now we broke out again. And what do you think is going to happen? Well, we can crash, or we can explode, or we can do something more, reasonable, which is simply accumulation. And that, my friends, is what I really think is a possibility. Now, we can go a little higher, maybe like I said, up to that 50K area, right? We can hit the high. So if I had to make my best guess, I'm looking at this as a 1, a 2, a 3. Now we're in a wave 4. We're going to hit the high for a wave 5. And then as the year sets in, we're going to go into a massive consolidation, accumulation, or distribution phase, right? So here's the thing. If it's going to be bullish, this is what we want to see. Obviously, if it's extremely bullish, we can continue, right, rocking it to the upside. Accumulation, breakout, accumulation, breakout. And then we continue to break out, right? That would be ultimately the bullish idea. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't think so. Because obviously, yeah, it can happen, but I'm looking at it from a more statistical, a more of a probable outcome. And to me, at the same time, being bullish, right? Accumulation, breakout, accumulation, breakout, accumulation, and then we break out. So that could be another 6 months, right? So my best guess, right? And it's not financial advice. Like I said, I could be totally dead wrong. But my best guess is we hit the high, probably between 47 and 51. And then we come down and do this. And the reason why I think we have to come down is because of this right here. You see that line? That's number one. And you see this right here? That's the bull market support band. That's where I believe we're ultimately heading at some point. Now, that could be occurring now. It could be, we could already be, on our way down here, right? So, but basically what I'm trying to say is this was an accumulation box, right? We broke out of the box, which is the easy part. The hard part is coming back down to back test that box. So breakout A, B, C, back test this resistance to make it the new support. Then we start to march our way up, maybe get back down here, right? And then we start to continue higher. So if we want to be bullish and we want to break out into new all-time high, that to me would be the best, healthiest, that's the key word here, healthiest, right? What is not healthy is doing this, coming up here and then continuing to go. I mean, it would be great, but I don't know if that would be short-lived. I would be pretty certain that it would be short-lived. So to me, this would be probably the ultimate way for the bulls to sort of be in the realm of possibility, and the also staying, cautiously bullish, right? And essentially that would be, accumulation here, breakout, accumulation here, breakout, accumulation here, and then a continuation to the upside. And am I certain of that? I'm not certain, but I think that would be the best course of action if we were to be bullish. So that would be what? A bull market, bear market, retracement, and then let's go down for reaccumulation. So the problem with what I have drawn here is it doesn't really give enough time for that reaccumulation. Usually what happens is, let me remove that. When we get up into retracement levels like we are now, usually they get more drawn out like this. We come in, back test this area, something like this, and then we continue higher. That to me would be more idealistic. And the reason why is because it matches up perfectly with what? With the 5 phases of the market, which is what? A rise, a crash, a retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. And that sideways blast off, right, is essentially all this in here, right? Just like our example with XRP. You don't have to like XRP, but I'm showing you an example. So right here, something like this. Now obviously it's a lot different, but it's still the same thing. Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. So for Bitcoin, back in the day, 2017 through 2020, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, blast off. Now, I will agree that this is much different than this. I know that. That's not the point. The point is something to this effect. Now, this structure here resembles a lot more with this structure down here. Now, I'm going to get into the short time frames in a minute, but I just wanted to, reiterate a couple things if you haven't seen. So we have our rise, and this is a much more much more bullish thing. We don't really have that reaccumulation, but we do. It's just different, right? So the way it's different is we have a rise, crash, retrace, right? And all of this would be sort of reaccumulation. So in other words, you have your base down here, accumulation. Then you have a second base on top of that, more accumulation. And then you have another base on top of that, accumulation. And, this looks like a retracement, but I would actually think that this would be the rise, the crash. This is a retracement. This is the continuation, right? And all of this is reaccumulation. So to me, there's like I said, there's two ways that this can go down bullishly, right? So something like this, let me take this off here. So comparing this here would be this box. Then you have our second box, and now probably hit the high again, come back and create this third box, just like over here. It's pretty much, it's a really good match, and I like that. And I think that would probably be my primary thesis for my bullish count. Now that can turn into, right, something more, it's similar, but it can turn into something a little bit different. So, for example, I think this phase is closer to this phase. I agree. But I think this phase is going to be this phase, but with a twist of this phase. And you say, well, what do you mean? And like I had before, something like this. So I have already drawn it, but let me just show you one more time. So we come up here, and it sort of gets more dragged out, maybe dips down a little bit lower, and then we sort of continue on up like this. And that's kind of how I see it, because nothing's ever a perfect match, right? For example, if you're a market maker and you got the billions of dollars, are you gonna make it identical to this? If you do, then everybody's gonna copy it, right? Are you gonna make it identical to this? No, because if you do, people will copy it, right? The retail traders, what is everybody doing at the moment? If you go across YouTube, if you go across everywhere, all the traders all around the world, what are they doing? They're comparing this to this. So I'm doing that too, but I'm also being open-minded of differences that could occur, that probably will occur. So what if it's not this or this? What if it's a combination of both? And to me, that's what I have drawn here, and that's what I think, right? I could be wrong. It could be completely identical to this. It could be more like this, right? In which case, if it was like this, then I would say this, and then a bigger shoot to the downside, maybe going below 20K, then coming back up. I don't think so. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I'm thinking, a much bigger sort of range here. So when you look at it, now it becomes much more different, right? Now, remember, this is the bullish case, and we'll talk about the bearish case too. But this would be my primary idea. And that, to me, would be a much more clear rise, crash, retrace. Then we come down for reaccumulation, going sideways, and then we break out. And that, to me, is the ultimate idea, in my opinion. Now, how does that idea come to fruition? Well, it can start now, or we can have another hit to the high, that 4750K, then start working our way back down, back testing this area. Maybe we get a bounce off of that, right? Then we continue down, retesting all of this in here, and then continuing higher. But we have to go flat for a while, right? We have to build our bases. The bigger the base, the better we have at going to space, right? Bigger the base, higher in space, right? So, yeah, basically that's basically the idea is something like that, which would mean, we have some work we got to do for probably the next 6 months to a year. I know that doesn't sound good right now because a lot of people are bullish, but also people are beginning to be bearish. So a lot of people think it has to go up, it has to go down. But what if the more idealistic thing is sideways, right? And that's sort of, the most probable idea. So the question becomes, how do altcoins perform in that sort of realm, right? When we're going sideways? Well, I think a lot of them will be mixed. I think, they'll still tag along with Bitcoin. But remember, let me take everything off here. I can show you real quick. Remember, if we have a range right here that we're going to go in for the next maybe year, right? Then when the price comes down, yeah, the market, but when we start to retrace, remember, we're oscillating in this thing, just like over here. So when we start coming up, I think the altcoins are going to pop off. I mean, maybe a lot of them, maybe some of them. When we come down, a lot of them are going to be completely obliterated, right? But more or less, I see Bitcoin in oscillation. And as we're going up and down, I see the altcoins following it, but not in this sort of range. I can see some of them breaking out big time, and then some of them, crashing down big time. So I think the swings are going to be much bigger in the alts as we're in this either accumulation or distribution phase. Now, if we're going to be bearish, I don't think it's going to be that big. I think it might be about this big, right about here. Remember, this is a 3-week chart, so each candle is 3 weeks. So just to give you a frame of reference here, it's going to be something like, if this was distribution, right, it'd be like a Wyckoff accumulation, but instead of accumulation, it'd be distribution, where we come up and then we start heading our way down. Now the question is, at that point, is this distribution just a setup for reaccumulation, where we go like this and then we go higher, right? So there's a lot of different ideas, a lot of different possibilities, right? And in which case that would be a more bearish idea, but overall bullish, right? So I'm just kind of going down the ladder of ultra bull, very bull, bull, moderately bull, right? So rise, crash, retrace. This would give us a much better down move reaccumulation. Then we go sideways. So we're going sideways. We're going sideways on top of all that, right? So you can see some gaps in here, right, that may be filled at some point, right? And then when you look at it, it could be like a double bottom. Now, I don't think it's going to be a double bottom. I mean, like I said, I don't know what it's going to be. I'm just giving the ideas. So when it comes, we can say, yeah, it's going that path. So then we'll revisit that path and we'll say, okay, what in this path was previously discussed? How was it going to down? And then we can sort of use that as a guideline. But right now, we are smack dead in the middle of a crossroads. We are at the retracement levels of retracement levels, right? So like I said, anything can happen. A lot of people are distributing. A lot of people are FOMOing. So basically it's a war. Let the games begin, right? Which way is the pendulum going to swing? Which way is the coin going to flip, right? Heads or tails? So my job isn't to guess, is it heads or tails? Because you don't know until it happens. Once it happens, then you can say, okay, it's all about ruling out, right? I always go back to like a homicide detective, like Sherlock Holmes or somebody. It's better, it's not about, always trying to get your suspect. It's a lot of times ruling out suspects, right? The best way to find the criminal is to rule out people who could potentially be involved. And in this case, it's ruling out different pathways, different ideas that all come in at retracement levels, right? So again, I'll go through it really fast. So idea number one, we have a bull market, a bear market, and then we continue higher. Just like over here, where you go sideways, 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 and then we break out. So that would be idea number one. Idea number two would be this gets more drawn out, right? So rise, crash, retrace, then we go into reaccumulation. Now reaccumulations can go all in different, sequences, right? So there are multiple ideas with the reaccumulation. And this one would just be an average reaccumulation where we continue breaking out. Okay, the more bearish one would be this. Idea number three, rise, crash, retrace. We come all the way down here, right? The low 20s, maybe 20K, maybe 18K, around there, right? And then we start reaccumulating sideways and then continuing up. And that would be a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, continuing up. That's a different type of reaccumulation, right? This over here was much more bullish, right? Because it was holding above. Now notice this here. Notice all these candles. They're holding above the bull market support band. That orange band is called the bull market support band. It supports the price climbing up. And look how all those wicks, it beautifully, candle after candle, wick after wick, candle after candle, wick after wick, all these candles, it's beautifully holding the price. Such an important thing, such an important indicator. Now going back to that, this would be idea, a similar idea to the previous ideas, but instead of looking at it in the phases, we're looking at it on the band. So let me zoom in actually. Let me actually go down to the, let's go to the weekly. So, and basically this would suggest, right, here's the band. It's continuing to go up in this trajectory. We continue to come down, right? Actually, so let me do that again. So the price starts to head down, right, to come and visit the band. The band's going up, and now it's starting to flatten out. Boom. We hit the band, we test it, right? Maybe we get a little bounce off the band. The band starts to curl back up again. We come down, we test it again, and then we start to rock. The band starts curling up as the price starts curling up too. That would be sort of the same idea is back over here, right? Same idea, just, looked at it differently, right? So, looking at it even closer on the daily chart, on the daily chart, the band's going up, price comes down, basically supporting the price is what I'm trying to say. And that could take months. It could take up to a year, right? Reaccumulation phases, can occur for a long time. I mean, that's why I like the example of XRP. I think XRP has been in the reaccumulation phase. So I'm expecting Bitcoin to be something like this. So like, for example, Bitcoin could be somewhere up here right now, where you have a rise, crash, retrace. We're in this retracement. Then we head down, and then we go sideways. And then we break out, right? And you say, well, how can XRP break out if Bitcoin is, pretty much going to go kaputs? Well, I remind you back over here, during this phase, Bitcoin was already basically topping out. Bitcoin was already in its bear market as that last pump to the upside, and it only took a few weeks, right? So things can happen quick, very fast. It could happen within a month. And like I said, remember when I said Bitcoin in that oscillation, right? In this oscillation in here, as we go down, as we come back up, as we're oscillating in this reaccumulation phase, that's how I see altcoins pop off, is when we go into these little miniature retracements in this oscillation sort of reaccumulation range, right? But that's too preemptive. I'm not going to get ahead of myself, right? But just, running through the ideas with you. So now we got that squared away. Now let's look at it bearishly. So now here we go with the bearish ideas. Now, the bearish ideas to me come from a black swan event, a cyber attack type of thing, a stock market crash, some type of event, right? Maybe the election, right? I mean, come on, you think the last election was absolutely crazy. You agree? The election, so basically the 2016 election, it was crazy. 2020 election, even crazier. It was super crazy. And now we're in the 2024 election. Do you think it's going to, what is the trend in the elections, right? 2016, crazy. 2020, crazier. 2024, craziest? I think so. So a lot of things can happen in an election year. Tons of things, because what happens in election year? It's power. It's all about power. It's all about control. It's all about money. It's all about the banks. It's all about the banks' puppets, right? The politicians. So they like to come out, right? And they like to cause problems, events, right? They come out with their events. Now, people look on the news and they see an event and they go, oh, that's organic. It organically happened. No. Nothing is organic. Everything from World War II to, I'm not going to get into it, but all these events that we've seen over decades and decades, maybe 2%, 5% organic. The rest, it's all, nothing is a coincidence, right? Especially in an election year, right? Remember what happened last election year? You had all the protesters, right? The riots, all the crowds. I mean, it got crazy, and it's not people's fault, right? I don't blame people who are protesting or as long as you're not breaking the law. But at the same time, those people are being used and taken advantage of, right? So they create something in the news, causes people to go into a state of manic, right? They get extremely upset, right? And rightfully so. And a lot of us, like inflation, right? Everybody's dealing with it, right? So, I don't want to get into all that, but you know what I'm saying. So next year, we are here. It is New Year's. So this is the year. This is the final countdown. And I can make a prediction. I don't want to strike on YouTube, right? I'm not a political guy, but understanding when you're looking at crypto, when you're looking at the future of money, when you're looking at charts, basically a chart is telling a story. And if you're good enough, and I don't consider myself an expert, right? I'm just somebody who's an enthusiast. But you can sort of kind of tell what's happening. I mean, think about it. Isn't it remarkable that in an election year, we are literally right at the retracement levels? The stock market, all-time high, or some of them near to it, right? Think about how coincidental, how crazy that is. So next year is the election year, which is this year, you can just say it's 2024 now. This is the year, right? Basically I'm saying expect the unexpected, expect the craziness, expect all hands on deck, right? And to me, one of the biggest things that I can see is possibly a delay of the election. Right? It's never happened before in history. But can you imagine a delay in the election? Like, let's say they come out and so wins, and instead of transitioning to the new administration, what do? They stall it. Or before people vote, right? Okay, everybody vote. It's voting time. Oh, wait, we have this new virus, or we have this new this, or we have a cyber attack. What better way to destroy and stop an election than with a cyber attack, right? People vote electronically, right? How do you stop it, right? If you're a bad guy and you know you're going to lose, what do? You try to basically distract, cause diversion, stall, right? And that's what I think is happening. Now, I could be totally wrong. Everything can come out smoothly and everybody does what they're supposed to do. But come on, you know, and I know we don't live in that world. We live in a world that is basically two worlds are colliding, right? And people think it's 50-50. I don't think it's 50-50. I think it's more like 80-20 or 90-10. And you might think, no, there's no way. I think so. I think there's more people on your side than you think. There are more good people out there than you think. And the reason why it may not seem like that is because we're not in a war, right, with guns and bullets and blood. I mean, maybe some parts of the world, but we're in a new world, right? I consider this World War III. And people think of World War III like bombs and guns. No. World War III is what? Information. Information is the most valuable commodity on planet Earth. The media, right? They funnel all the information. So think about that for a second. The media is basically, right, the central banks, the media, the politicians, the governments, the shadow governments, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, right? They have an agenda, and their agenda is to control we the people. And the best way they can do that is with narrative and with information. But an informed citizen is basically armed to the teeth, right? So consider yourself, hopefully, an informed citizen, right? So whatever tricks they like to pull out of their hat in this coming year, just be aware, hey, it's all part of their agenda. But just understand that there are two sides, right? So, let the games begin. Eventually, I think the good guys will win. The good guys will overcome this evil, infested thing that has warped into our country, the fabric of our world, right? And it's been going on for years and years, but now it's started, you can see it. Now it's like, the monster was under the bed. Now you can literally see it, and when you corner a dog, what is the dog going to do? So just my 2 cents in, just, that's not this channel, but just, I could, like I said, I could be wrong. Everything could be fine. But come on, turn the news on and you realize things are not what they seem. Things don't make sense. You've been lied to, right? If you believe everything you're being told, then, you got to see the bigger picture at play here, right? And a lot of it has to do with crypto, believe it or not. I mean, JP Morgan the other day said, I don't like Bitcoin. I don't want Bitcoin, right? You know what? At the same time, he's applying for a Bitcoin ETF. If you're a true Bitcoin maxi or a crypto enthusiast, you don't really want a Bitcoin ETF. Why? Because why do you need a Bitcoin ETF? If you want Bitcoin, go buy Bitcoin. They're repackaging it as a security. People don't want securities. You know why? Because it's just another way for them to manipulate the underlying asset, which is Bitcoin. An ETF is a security. A security is sort of like a derivative of Bitcoin. Why would I want that when I can just buy the real thing, right? Because they don't want their they don't want their clients purchasing the real thing. They want their clients purchasing their repackaged idea of a Bitcoin, which is a Bitcoin ETF, which is nothing but a security. So when I hear Bitcoin maxis on TV and on the media, oh, I can't wait for the big, because they think it's going to do good for the price. And that may be true in the short term, which would create FOMO. But at the end of the day, I would say maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line, it's not good. It's not good. We don't want a Bitcoin ETF. Now, do I think one is coming? Yeah, I do think one is coming. Now, you have the people out there who don't think it's coming, right? And even though they want it to come, and when it does come, they're going to be happy, but they don't realize, it's never what it seems to be. A Bitcoin ETF is just an instrument of more manipulation. That's all it is, right? The reason why is because they don't want Congress. Look at JP Morgan. The banks, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Federal Reserve, all the big, the central banks of central bank. They don't want crypto, but they want to sell it to you in the form of a security. Why? Because they understand they can't stop crypto. They also understand they want to make money off of it. And they also understand they want to use the technology of crypto for a CBDC or for whatever, right? So just be aware that, if you see a Bitcoin guy and he's jumping up and down, Bitcoin ETF, just remind him kindly and say, look, if you really like Bitcoin, you don't want an ETF. I think people are blindsided by the idea that Bitcoin price, because they don't care about Bitcoin. All they care about is the price, right? Price is king, and I agree. Price is king. All they care about is price. And, a lot of it, that's what I care about. I care about the price. That's what you care about. But at the end of the day, we have to respect the underlying asset as an asset, not a security, right? So people in government, central banks look at crypto as a threat. They look at it as competition. They look at it as a problem because because you have money in the world, right? The money is either in dollars, it's in the banks in dollars, or it's in gold, or it's in wherever. But where they don't want the money is they don't want the money in crypto, because $1 in Bitcoin is not $1 in the central bank, and they don't like that, right? JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, just the other day, he said Bitcoin is run by criminals and drug cartels and money launderers. No. That's cash. Cash is what that does, right? Why, if I'm a drug lord, why would I use Bitcoin? It's traceable. You could trace it. So why would you use it? Everything's recorded on the blockchain, right? So you'd be stupid to use it. So you're better off using cash because it's untraceable or almost untraceable. So what I'm trying to say is the central banks, they are pretending to hate crypto. They really don't like crypto. They're pretending to like it, but also bash it at the same time. They're saying, look, you don't want Bitcoin, but you do want the Bitcoin ETF, right? Bitcoin is used by criminals and this and that. Don't go buy Bitcoin. And Congress, please don't regulate it, right? Crypto should have been regulated years and years and years ago. It should have been regulated 5 years ago. Why hasn't it? Because it's the wild, wild west. And in the wild, wild west, you can get away with things, and they don't want regulation. Why? Because it would set the foundation for the next revolution, the next chapter of the crypto sphere. And they don't want that. So what do? They delay it. So instead of regulation, what are people talking about? They're talking about the ETFs.
And people are buying right into it. They're getting suckered into it. Bitcoin ETF, Bitcoin ETF, ETF, ETF. No, we don't want that. If you're a crypto enthusiast, you want Congress to regulate crypto so that the institutional money can flow in, so that the clients, the customers, the wealthy people that are dealing with BlackRock and all of that, all of those people can participate in holding Bitcoin the real thing, just like they're holding gold the real thing, right? Not the paper contracts on the COMEX, which is all bullcrap. So again, you got to figure this stuff out, because people are, everybody, I mean, you could just look online, everybody's cheering for it and they don't realize the dangers, right? So for me, I'll give you an example. I like crypto. I said in the very beginning of this video, I'm a crypto enthusiast. I'm not in it only for the money, but I am in it for the money. But most of all, I'm in it for uh, the future of crypto. Because the better the future, the better chances of us becoming, keyword, sustainable wealth. Not just a bubble and a pop and then disappear, but sustainable wealth. And so, what do I want? I want Congress to regulate cryptocurrency, digital assets in a fair, unbiased, level playing field type of way, so that so that everybody can participate, including the institutions, right? We want institutional money. Bitcoin can't get over, or the broader crypto can't get over $1-2 trillion, even though it deserves that $10 trillion spot. The only way it gets there is if the institutions and the big money of the big financial systems come in. And the only way that happens is if we get regulation. But how do you make people not want regulation? How do you make people distract away from regulation? You bring up a Bitcoin ETF. It is the ultimate distraction, because they don't want crypto regulated, because then everything is on its way to a $10 trillion market cap. Everybody can jump in, right? But instead of regulating it, what are they trying to do? They're trying to repackage Bitcoin as a security, right? And the banks say, yeah, you know what? I don't like Bitcoin as competition, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? I do want to make money, and I don't want people to jump on the regulation. So I need to create a distraction. And the ultimate distraction is what? Repackaging it as a security and selling it to the public as if it's some form of regulated Bitcoin, when it's not. It's a fake Bitcoin product. Just like if I have an ounce of gold in my hand, I hold it, I control it, it's mine. If I have an ounce of gold in the paper market and the COMEX, guess what? It's not mine. So, you know, you if you don't hold it, you don't own it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. If it's not on a ledger, if it's not on a wallet, you don't own it, right? If it's on an exchange, you sort of semi own it, but you don't really own it, because if the exchange goes down, then you lose it, right? So just, I know I took some time out of this video to clarify that stuff, but it's very important, and hopefully people understand it. Now, do I think it's going to be approved? Yeah, I do. But I don't care. You know, I do think a few of them are going to be approved. You know, the one that gets approved first is probably the one you got to look out for, right? So basically, you know, even though it will get approved, I don't know, but I think the reason why they're trying to delay it is to try to feel like they don't like it, right? It's all about narrative, and it's all about public perception, right? If they approved it day one, like if BlackRock filed for a Bitcoin ETF and Gary Gensler got it and he approved it, boom, 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 it's done. It would look funny. It would look suspicious. But you know what was not? Deny, deny, delay, delay. Make it seem like, you know, they don't really like it, when deep down inside, they know they have to do it. So, but even though they will do it, I think over time, especially when the new administration comes in and the Federal Reserve gets exposed for what it is, which is, the Federal Reserve is the biggest threat in the United States and in the world. Let me say that again. The Federal Reserve is the biggest threat in the world. It basically prints money out of thin air, loans it to the government with interest to tax, then we, the taxpayer, have to pay it back plus interest, plus through the form of taxes, plus through the form of inflation. It's a rigged game, and it's all revolving around the dollar. So we need a new system, right? And crypto is the solution, and that is why they don't like it. And that is why they don't want to regulate it. And that is why they're repackaging it as a security so that they can manipulate it. But it's not going to work. Crypto will prevail. The good guys will prevail. And ultimately, we will win. I promise you, we will win. They're going to play their games. But at the end of the day, when the dust settles, they're going to be exposed. Things will play out in the way they need to be. So I leave you with that. So basically, sorry I ranted off, but you know what? Maybe you already know it, maybe you don't, maybe now you do. So going back to the price. Now where was I? Bearish. So the bearish idea I see is just basically come back down and retest this area. A, B, C, get down here, accumulation, and then we go. Pretty simple. Right? So you know all the ideas. Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. Rise, crash, retrace, a bigger reaccumulation, or a continuation. But look, all of them say up, 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 right? So the way the ultimate bearish idea is to say, and this is very bad, just say this is a 1, 2. Now we're going down for 3, 4, and then 5. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be devastating, right? And that could happen, right? Because you have a 5-wave move, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. And then we continue up. That'd take another 10 years, or at least another 6 years, right? That would be horrible. But as these pumps occur, right, within this wave, I think we can get, that's why I like Bitcoin, I hold it, but I don't see it as a big winner overall. So do I think this big nasty thing's gonna? No. Now, the only way we can rule that out is when the time comes. But right now, we are right here. Retracement, we are right here. Right at the 702. Look at that. We are right at the 702. So, we got to get above that 786, and better yet, let me see. If I flip this back to linear scale, we're only at the 50. So, the big retracement levels are right here. Like I said, between 47 and 51. In this case, it's 48 to 53. So right in there. So how do we get there? I think we will get there, right? And then once we get there, then we can reevaluate what the next step is. So now let's talk about that. I talked about all the bullish ideas. I talked about all the bearish ideas. And now let's talk about the short time frame on how we can get there. So check this out. So like I said at the beginning, I think this is what? A descending or a ascending triangle, right? This would be idea number 1, right? And this would be up channel right in here, right? And then if I extend this channel, oscillating, breakout, come back down, retag this, then continue up. Either way, I think we're in some type of 4th wave, right? So basically a 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we're in a 5th wave. Now, the 4th wave how does the 4th wave look? Well, the 4th wave can actually do this, A, B, and then C. We can actually come all the way back down here and then hit the high, right? So right now we're being supported by this trend line, this potential ascending triangle. So we'll see if that breaks. If it breaks, it's not a big deal, because what? Because then we're going to probably come back down here and back test this area and then continue up to that fifth wave. Or worst case scenario, we come all, here's the bull market support band, we come all the way down here, or maybe by the time, maybe by the time the price gets over here, the bull market support band's already over here. So we intercept it, we tag it, we consolidate, and then we continue up. Either way, it doesn't matter, because I'm still thinking of fifth wave. If a fifth wave doesn't occur and the top is in now, then it all comes down to this: how price reacts on this bull market support band. If we break through it, it's going to change everything. It's going to change a lot, right? So, there's 2 points here. The big point would be back testing 31K. That's big. That's a big deal, and I think that will come. And then the other is, are we going to stay above this bull market support band? So right now the price is sort of in no man's land, right? I think ABC, eventually will come up here and tag it and then come down. So the question is, do we come down first, then tag it, or do we consolidate, then tag it, right? So there's a few different ways. I don't know the answer to that. My job is not to know exactly. It's just to cover the ideas. So as the days mature, as the weeks go on, we can rule out different suspects to lead us to the right suspect, right? So basically that's it, guys. That's really all I have. Now, the worst thing we can do, well, I think it's going to come either way, is if we break this. If we break below this, I think the game is over. I think the party's over. Now, for the time being, not forever, right? For the time being. So that would be, we have our rise, our crash, our retracement, and then we come back down. And somehow, some way, we're going to come right back into here, accumulate, and then continue. That would be like sort of my main idea, right? There's a lot of different variations of the reaccumulation phase, but all I know is we're in the retracement phase. Once the retracement phase is over, then we enter reaccumulation. Because think about it, if you have $20 million, are you going to buy Bitcoin right now? Look, Bitcoin at the beginning of the year, here's 2023, January 2023, it went all the way up here. Who's buying it? Who would buy it? Nobody, only the retail. That's why the Bitcoin ETF. Think about it. Why is the ETF all of a sudden coming out at the retracement levels? Because they want to sucker the retail guys in, right? Do you think the big dogs at BlackRock are buying Bitcoin right now? Heck no. Do you think the big billionaires are buying Bitcoin? No. Do you think, Kevin O'Leary or Mark Cuban's buying it right now? I don't think so. Not at these levels. Look, here's the beginning of the year. Entire year we're going up, 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 up. Now we're at the end of the year and we're way up here. Smart money bought it down here, right? So what has to happen? That's the retracement. We retraced Bitcoin ETF. Maybe we pop it to the high, right? Maybe 50K. Then we come back down, and now the whales come jumping in, right? The whales like the big dogs at BlackRock. Then they come in and start buying it, because then now they understand the retracement is over. Now we're going down into reaccumulation. So reaccumulation can happen anywhere between, I would say, between here and here. So somewhere in there, right? I think eventually we will get down there at some point, right? Now, if it's going to be an incredibly bullish reaccumulation, then you have to look at it like back over where you have this box, and this box. And right now we're right here. We're in this third box and we're going to go sideways. And I think that is a good possibility of happening. Do I think it's the one all be all? No, I don't. I think it might be a little bigger than we think. So we just have to wait and see. I don't know. But that'll be it, guys. I thank you for watching the video. Appreciate it. Have a great new year. If you can, leave a like and subscribe, and I will catch you on the next one. Cheers.